I called you last night.
I can't get WhatsApp to work right on my phone, so
It's all good. That's a Canadian thing.
no, it's a Brian's phone thing. I have to apologize for my drunkenness the other night.
No, are you, dude? Do you realize that 99.9% of people on here are blasted out of their ass?
No. I'd still have to apologize for my degenerate ass drunken
No,
self.
no, this is the safe
Yeah,
space.
no. Everything's recorded, bub.
Mm, believe me. Give me a name in a couple minutes. I'll find something much worse than Twitter space about anyone.
I agree to that, but just for my own sanity and
File type
everything.
colon PDF.
Yeah, I'm finally getting life back to normal after the fam's getting ready to go back. Yeah,
Nice.
so I'm grinding and
Nice.
not sleeping and everything else. So I'm finally got dashboard time. I was like, okay, I'll join a space.
Um, I'm about to get some dashboard time. Uh, too. I wonder. So yeah, like we talked yesterday, the day before, and then tomorrow. Actually, what I'm gonna so this is interesting. So I'm in there taking music,
Mhm.
and I talked about the connection of math and music, and there were some people that were like, "I'm not that good at math," right?
Okay.
And Allie took them aside to the board and starts doing algebra with them. So I'm teaching steel pan over here, and she's teaching algebra on the whiteboard. It was crazy,
That's great.
right? And
I tell you what, man,
I got the.
you two are just
Mhm.
yin and yang.
Mm, it's crazy,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I saw yesterday.
How is Allie?
I literally. Oh, she's great. Great. Probably waking up to a taco. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
because if you get the taco late night, then you get to wake up with the tacos that were left over, right?
yeah.
So yeah, taco, cilantro, lime, morning for her.
So I'm trouble.
You know, but we got more videos of the access control course. Freaking amazing! You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I watched that one video. I was like, man, I wished I had 15 minutes to join some of these things. Uh,
Oh
and I
man, it would be
so I watched it
fun.
and I was like, yes, this is it's gonna. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you guys, I'm from a far away, and I'm telling you, you're onto something up there. You're getting ready to build something, and I think you guys are onto it. So all you guys got to do is keep the grinding wheel down. As long as you guys keep doing your thing, it'll keep coming to you.
It's one of those things where I know it's the calm before the storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because even Roland's son has learned to edit video. He knew how to edit video before I ever met him, but um, because his son is on summer break, he started chopping up some of the videos. So I put one of them to the top. You can see, and not now,
Right.
but it's really complex access control, which is it's gorgeous to see someone explain something that looks complicated in a straightforward manner, right? Like to see somebody comfortable with something that what I mean, that looks slightly like a mess.
Yeah. Everything kind of well. That's just me being picky in life. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. When
Oh
I like it dressed,
no,
I
you
want
should
it.
be picky.
Yeah, it's got to be. If I can, I'll get in. I'll try to go to a couple non-classified areas. If I can get a couple
Mm,
picture of our panels, you'll be. Yeah, if you I can't you can't even step foot in a classified area with any electronics at all, and they're all
yeah.
in there waiting on you. But if I go into a non-classified area, I'm allowed to take pictures of those panels and stuff like that.
Oh man, it's it is it's interesting because we're working with people who are flexible on the idea of what the curriculum can be.
Okay.
You know,
Oh, okay.
right? So when we say like, when I was talking to the teacher yesterday, I'm like, if we're gonna create this school, right? Why wouldn't you have a studio in there? Why wouldn't you have a photo lab in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just look at all the things that they're doing in their natural life, right?
That's
This is a chance to reimagine a Montessori school if you want to. And one of the teachers yesterday told me the craziest feedback I've ever heard. I asked her, how do you think it went? And she said, you know what? I saw two of the kids in a different light today. That's all I needed to hear.
yeah. That's when you know that you're making a difference between that birth date and death date and what you're doing with that dash in your life. When you can make other people see a different light, man,
It's
the
crazy.
fire that gives you, that building
Oh man.
inside of you, just you alone. You're the instructor. You're the one doing
Mm.
you get to reap that. They have the light, but you're like, I see that you're seeing the light.
I feel like I'm at the start of Voyager. You know, this is what we're gonna do,
Look out!
guys.
Hey
All right,
man, don't compare.
we're gonna.
That you know where you're heading, then, don't you?
All right. So
Let's
Brian,
like you just said.
do you need an unsecured loan for $750 million?
Let's not.
Because we have a great mission
Let
here,
me tell you.
and we have to figure out a way to fuck it up.
Yeah, and if if you didn't pull out that day and you started picking it apart via whatever you did.
So tell me what happened, because you got to understand, when I'm on here, I'm just kind of talking out of my ass. But when I talk out of my ass about business, like, I don't know what effect the mouth words have. Say hello to Brian.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So what did I say?
Oh well, you were picking Voyager apart. You actually pulled up the. You know how you do the Google file colon what
Right.
that whole
File type PDF file.
you do that. You
Yeah.
do what the spreadsheets do, and I'm like, okay. So when you started doing that, you were penning like verbiage up from Voyager's. When you sign and do the KYC and you sign everything off, and you started picking some verbiage apart that caught KC's eyes, not allowing him to catch mine as well. I throttled back pretty quick. I stayed in the 500 range because that's what I wanted to gamble, because I still believe, actually, I mean, yes, they made a horrible decision, but if someone buys this product, this is like the kind of a crossover cable. It's doing the transmit
I
and the receive.
agree
If you
with
can
you.
get that debit card to actually work on using
Look,
from real life.
the debit card real life penetration is not something I've seen from any other crypto project except for maybe Visa. You know what I mean? So that, to me, that amount of market penetration has got to be attractive to someone. What, people are just going to cut up their I don't think so, but I could be wrong,
Yeah,
right?
I think Voyager's going to try to hold on to it for absolutely the whole time if they can, and if they can, then and it'll take 5 to 7 years to bounce back. This will be a bullshit conversation for 5 to 7 years, but then they'll get
Exactly. It'll be like a blip in the road. Remember that time when?
yeah, and you started picking some verbiage apart that basically stated we, we spread our we're unsecure, and you were forget the exact word. If I'll have to, I doubt I can. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but that's when Casey was like, it was like I saw his light bulb come on, therefore I read more into it myself, basically stating that
Right.
they have their securities are actually unsecure, if that makes sense.
It's
I
yeah,
don't remember the exact verbiage though, but like I said, I think having a card, a form of moving financial means from in and out of the crypto world is kind of a real life scenario, and I think they have something with that, and I don't think it'll take them as long once they get Europe fired up to bounce back from that $650 million loss. So I think Chapter 11 was correct, but it's just going to take you're walking around with a black eye and a broken hip right now, and you're trying to walk and you're trying to see, and shit hurts. So I mean, it is what it is at this point. I feel sorry for some people, but the shit talking that bothers me a lot. Like, really, guys? I mean, you guys have,
I get the craziest DMs.
where?
Like, I get during spaces. Like, wow, hold on. It's something that I can't say. Imagine it's something that I can't even say out. You don't understand how bad it is that I can't say it out loud?
Yeah, that's pretty jacked up, actually.
That's pretty jacked up. So, this is something just for your eyes only.
Yeah, that's some. I mean, some of the things that go on, I'm just like, man.
Okay, do me a favor. Is there a possibility you can check your DM? I don't need it.
It's holy, why?
So, don't say anything.
No.
But those are the DMs that I get.
That's to me. That's I would just.
I haven't figured out a way to tell him yet. You understand? But you understand.
Yeah. That's just.
How fucked up is that?
It is fucked up. Like, why? Why do that? I don't know.
Well, that Upton Sinclair. It's hard to get to manage something when the salary depends on him not understanding it.
Say that again, you bro. I lost you on that.
Sorry. Upton Sinclair said that it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding.
You're in the blockchain.
Oh, how is it?
You've been in the blockchain. Am I in the blockchain?
No, you're fine. What about now?
You're blockchain like no other. I mean, you literally sound like you're being like.
Hold on, let's try this. Let's do the and if I go like this.
There you go. Yeah, that cleared up real quick.
I just have to I have to rug the space myself and reconnect to it. So it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it. Upton Sinclair. Right? So who are you to tell someone that there's a problem with a machine when they get paid $3,000 every month for that machine to run? And so I don't blame anyone for it because, again, I was in financial services 15 years ago. I know what it's like to give compromised advice, and that's why I left.
Okay, but it's called an investment, other known as a risk.
Yes, but when people lose money, they don't act like an investment, right? When they're making money, they call it an investment. When they're losing
Sure.
money, they come for your head.
Okay. Well, that is their lack of education right there.
The challenge is you don't have to, um, because human nature is the way it is. It's why, you'll hardly see me suggest anything.
Yeah, but that's like, I mean, that should be like the first sentence out of your mouth as an investor, not you per se,
Mm-hmm.
not you,
Mm-hmm.
but anybody that's getting ready to talk. First of all, do you understand investing? And give me your definition of investing. And if their word doesn't come out next as this is a risk for for betterment of
Mm-hmm.
financial service for financial gains, then what are you here for? Get rich quick? That's a Ponzi scheme. I said investing, and
Yeah.
that's where people are so like lost in the world. Like, wait a minute, stop. These are risks that you take every day. You get in a car, you drive, right? What's the risk of it? What's the risk of that, right? What's the risk of that drive? What's the risk of that bus ride? Come on, it's an investment. You're going to take a risk, okay? Because there's humans that are behind the wheel that are driving these these investments, and
They
they're
don't treat
going.
them like humans.
I know, and that's that. But
Listen to the
that's
way they talk about Zeus and the pantheon.
hey, yeah, God, you're right.
And see, man, when Daniel told me that these Twitter spaces sounded like Protestants fighting Lutherans, I couldn't look away, right? And when you see how the outgroup is treated, the pagans, right? Dude, I remember, dude, I'll go up to like some spaces and they'll say, "Oh, look, it's the horse again," right? And it's like, I know that while you might not disagree with the words I choose, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to like that I broadcast these words to the people in the space. I understand that, right? And that's why I'm kind of like, I don't take it personal, right? You can't take it personal, but
No, God, I don't take I don't take things personal. I mean, the only thing I take personal is my own actions. Yet the other
uh,
night, where I
right,
was having personal life issues, and I decided that me and a bottle of vodka in the swimming pool were going to have a hot date, and then I have repercussions to pay for those actions. So, nevertheless, I'll go around the circle and make my apologies for everybody that was in there, and be like, hey, I'm just as human as everybody else, and I don't take it personal, and I hope you didn't either. And I was drunk, and sorry, I'm going through some shit in my own life, and we're all human. So, you know, not everybody's going to be successful the first time around. So, got to get up, and keep trying, and that's the thing where these spaces. I mean, that's so true about the what Daniel said there. But you know, until it
yeah.
happens to them, right?
And yes, right, and because like I started being a financial advisor during the crash in 07, 08, right? And I thought of going into it being like, you know what I want to do? I want to show people how money works so that they don't lose the remaining 40% of their retirement savings.
Okay.
And then,
Go ahead.
so I went from like, being a financial advisor and having a license to actually teaching the licensing course. So if you want to get licensed to sell these instruments, you have to come to one of my courses, right? And started helping people get licenses. And then I got so disillusioned with finance, because you understand the inner workings, right? I just quit and decided to do stand up instead, and that's when I met Quinn.
I still think you should have a 134.29. No thanks.
With,
I still think you should have a, what do you call that? Sorry for the background noise. I got to get fuel.
yeah, yeah.
I still think you should have a open show of. Hold on. Gotta love in the middle of the city, right?
Mm, no, it's
Straight
good. I,
mayhem.
I, like, I like the ambiance. You know?
It's just it's just dirt mayhem and people going a gazillion miles an hour. Like,
Yeah.
get out of my way. I got money to make. Get out of my way.
Well, the thing is, I only talk to Roland when he's in transit. He's like, "Hey, what's going on? I'm going to be driving for about half an hour." I'm like, "Okay, good. We can get a bunch of stuff done."
Because when he's at the office, he's too busy dealing
Yeah, he's like
day to
doing
day office.
together,
Yeah,
putting together
that's
drawings and putting
yeah,
together quotes, right?
yeah. I understand that.
If anything, he's in the office to prepare to go back in the field.
Yeah, you got to get stock together, get the materials together that you're gonna
Oh,
need. If you need, you're gonna need all the. I call it miscellaneous materials. Some guys call it the littles.
mm-hmm.
The littles are all like all the screws, knickknacks,
Mm.
connectors, conduit pieces. It's just a term that we use in the field a lot. It's called the littles.
The last guy I saw in a truck, it looks like it. It looks like his cable truck was like a mobile garage,
Yes, every day.
and he had all of the little, the things that you pull with your finger, like the little shelves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yes.
damn, this guy just like swings a door, right? And the door swings, and now he's just facing this huge rack.
Yeah. That's definitely. They got these.
It's gorgeous.
If you look up a Milwaukee pack out,
Mm-hmm.
that's the hottest thing in the market right now for
Mm.
the field, for anybody in the field. Why? Because it's like a two-wheel dolly of interconnected toolboxes,
Hmm.
and
Cool. Listen,
every guy wants a set of pack outs.
oh, if you're a woman listening to this space, what was the greatest gift that you can give a technician? What was it called?
Pack out, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Pack Out.
Yeah,
That's right,
yeah,
Milwaukee Pack Out for the technician in your life.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Oh, it's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and cut the recorded spaces into like a mini documentary, right? Because the recorded spaces go back to before the whole fiasco.
So, what part does my drunkenness get figured in there?
I think that'll be a bonus track on the album.
I swear I love you.
Hello. Yeah. The like people don't realize like I'm a recruiter and I see a lot of talent in the space. Maybe not the talent that they think they have or the way they're using it right now. I always ask people when they come to me, like to get a new job, I'm like, look, I don't want to assume that what you've done before is what you want to do next. What do you want to do next?
I want to do real estate appraisals. I want to get out of IT eventually. Um, Flips, all those fun things. That's what I'm going to do next, actually.
Beautiful.
So, what's
So,
that?
then the question I would ask is, how do you make sure that by the time your license hits the board, you already have all of your business lined up?
Mm. Now you see why I'm actually doxing myself and plastering my beautiful, smiling, cheesing
Oh,
face.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So I asked myself, they, Jeffrey Moore said that people think you should build a product first, when what you really need to do is open up the sales channel Because if you have a product and no sales channel, you almost have no product. And sometimes, because opening up a sales channel involves dealing with people, it takes longer to build a sales channel than it does the product. So, how do you give yourself access to sell this product before you ever have it? And I would ask the same thing about the real estate. You know, my mom was into real estate. My mom was a real estate agent in the late 80s, early 90s. She,
Awesome.
she turned one house in what people would call the ghetto in Toronto, right? And now she has three homes, three condos downtown on the water.
So I actually just quit my job at a real estate investment company this morning, 20 minutes ago actually.
Well, congratulations. Hold on. Ali, you have to give someone a round of applause.
Thank you, thank you. It was yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but I
My
did.
heart just sank.
Why did I?
We quit her. She quit her job.
Oh, fantastic! Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm much happier, even though I'm like, is that a good idea? But I'm like, I didn't want to keep doing that anymore. But real estate investing, so I still want to really get into that. It's interesting that you said that because that's still on my trajectory because I feel like that's definitely I want storage units. I've always wanted a bunch of freaking storage units
Meta,
everywhere.
where are you in North America?
So I live right by Matt. I know him well. We're both in Mississippi.
Interesting. So, I wonder if there's a way for you and Brian to work together. A bunch of degenerate real estate license people.
Well, you don't even have to get your license. I think that they're coming out with I found out when I got with this company about real estate wholesalers. And I had no idea that ecosystem existed. So you don't even have to get your license if you don't want to.
Yeah, to be a part of the realtors. So you can be called. You can anybody can be a real estate salesperson, but to be called a realtor, you have to be part of that cult itself, and and you have to buy into that. And they basically built their own database that's proprietary to you paying them for their cult, and that's where a lot of people like to get their information in the MLS because it is that database for the specific realtor. That's what Zillow and Realtor.com and these other places they were trying to get into that cult, and they wouldn't let them in because they were going to whore out the product, and the cult decided to lock it up. So it is what
Wow,
it is.
it's like the OPEC of real estate.
It is. Well, I mean, okay. It's a sorority and a fraternity, if you want to call it that. That's all it is. I mean, it's just a group of people that want to call themselves realtors, and you can be a real estate salesperson relatively easy and have investings that way.
Hold on.
Uh,
I want to create my own certification. Certified degen, right? You have to be
oh,
able to demonstrate these certain degenerate activities. Like I have to see your portfolio, and if I don't see a bunch of red, you can't get in. Right? Yeah. So what are you going to do next, Meta?
Oh, I don't know. I'm curious as to what Brian's thought trajectory is. I really don't know. I wait tables too, and I missed my NFT. I spent all day yesterday going back down my Degen Web3 holes because I missed reading about it. I read a couple white papers, um, but I don't know. I really don't. I still want to figure out how to do real estate. Maybe a real estate license would. Cuz Brian, is that what you're thinking of? You want to go straight that pathway? What's your mindset
so
on that?
so first of all, any waiting tables and bartending is the easiest money you'll ever make in your entire life. It's a known
Yep.
fact. I did it for all the way through my first round of college, and that's the liquid cash that you know a side hustle. Uh, anyway, that's a great one. And second of all, is that my path is to, as I keep aging, is that I'm going to keep building on my real estate investments, or you know doing appraisals and things like that. So a home inspector or an appraisal, you're getting $300 to $500 per transaction. Make those relationships with banks, other relation and investment firms that are, those wholesalers that need a set of eyes in the area. Those kind of scouts and things like that. Those companies are always looking for somebody to build that. So that's how I'm actually building my platform is basically is I basically just going to go around and dox the fuck out of myself and keep smiling. And I'm just a human, just like everybody else, and I'm going to make mistakes and do stupid shit, and that's just part of life. And I'm going to keep building on the self brand kind of way. But my ultimate goal is to have those investments that you're talking about, like a storage unit. To build one from ground up right now is about 1.5 million for about I think last I looked at it, it was I want to how many that was 180 units. I think it was the ones that are not climate controlled. That's a great investment. I mean, it's revenues coming in every month. So that's a great investment idea. Buying a couple houses a year and flipping them. Knowing the right people. That's a great investment idea. That's just the path that I'm going to go down and just take it slow and easy. It's not going to be my daytime job because I am in the IT world and I've been doing this part of my life for 23 years now. So,
what do you do? I've never heard about what you do.
so I'm in the low voltage side of technology. I'm a consultant now for a aviation place, GE Aviation, and I do all their CCTV, which is closed circuit television, all their cameras, security there, all the card access, all the we do all the clearance rooms. So basically, if it's top security or if it is high clearance or military government, whatever type of area that may be, we go in and help with the certifications on making sure that those meet that with the UL listings and things like that. So um, basically, we help protect that data. Um, we do a lot with the low voltage wiring. So we have technicians that'll go and install that stuff and do the maintenance and things like that. So that's the area of the world that I've been in for the last probably 15 years.
The last job that I quit, I was managing a database at a credit union. I have 2 IT degrees that are totally fucking worthless. But I quit that job too. Me and corporate structure don't get along. But I applaud all of you who are able to do that.
Why do you feel that you and corporate don't get along?
Because Brian, let me tell you something right now. 8 o'clock in the morning in me, I only want to see 8 o'clock in the morning when I'm in my bed, right? I do. I like to sit in my house. I like my house. I don't like the bright lights. I don't like everybody being in your face all the time. I like to have project. I like to call people. I like to talk to people. I like to help people. But I just, I don't know, being surrounded by humans for 8 hours a day that I'm forced to be around. I don't know. I don't know. Their office politics. Like, I don't give a fuck about Susie's hair. I don't care about you. I don't care about anything. Like, I don't know. I've never, in this, like this real estate job, it turned into, I went from being lead intake acquisitions to like having to cold call. And I was like, well, can I just go home and do it then? And they're like, no, you have to be in the office. And I was like, you can go fuck yourself. I don't want to. Like, there's no point.
Okay.
Um,
What trips your trigger then? Okay, being home. So a remote job is have to be a top of the qualifications. What else trips your trigger?
what do you mean?
So something makes you fire, and something like it trips your trigger. It actually, it's a old hillbilly term. Sorry. It really it gets you excited inside. You're like, I feel that. Whether you got a degree in it or not, but you're like, and it may not be the most high paying job, but it's the most rewarding to you.
So I really love to research. Like, I love to read about things, like, and see big pieces of things and how big things fit together. Like I will spend hours reading about something. Like I love to go down rabbit holes, but sometimes they're not beneficial. And so I like projects that I can just kind of like I can explore, you know. And I guess it's like because I love the Web3, Web4, Web5, semantic web. Here we go. Like I've went down so many of those rabbit holes, and I would love to stay and grab onto that and see how to implement ledger tech in real estate. That's really asset tokenization has been like the side interest of mine for like a year almost. And I guess just trying to figure out how to make that work with real life. You know, I keep going back to waiting tables because, like you said, liquid cash. And I'm like, how do I integrate my love of technology and research and like a philosophical approach to technology? How do I integrate that with you know, productivity, I guess, and all the other things that I want. So I don't know if I answered that very well. That's a really interesting. No one's ever asked me that kind of question before. So
Well, that's the first question, I always ask her. It was like, what trips your trigger? Because that's what I want to find out. I want to like look into. If I'm sitting in a room talking to people, I'm like looking at them like, okay, what makes them tick? What makes them trip their trigger every day? What gets them excited about to get out of fucking bed and go live life and and just and do life by itself that way? Like, okay, what does it? So you have a whole list of things. Like one of the things that I've considered is like, okay, so how do we take a for real estate? Because I'm like, okay, this is where we can take real life and incorporate um, real estate within Web3 right now. Is how do we take a deed or a mortgage contract and we write it into a smart contract and make that all kind of work on the blockchain?
right, and I was thinking too, it's like if you have investment companies, if you have financial companies, and they're the nodes like supporting a chain, right? And they're transferring all of their information. If a property hits numbers on both sides, a smart contract could immediately initiate that transaction, could it not? And then it would, if you have all of the like the property deed, if you have the deed, if you have these different types of NFTs related to the property, that's kind of the way I started to see it. I haven't went all the way down it and don't know how that would work exactly, but I feel like that's kind of the direction because there's tax companies doing ledger technology and things like that. So and there's a couple of companies that have done real estate. I have it saved in some notes somewhere. Um, but yeah, I think that that's definitely the future at some point.
I actually agree with that. I really do. I really think it's going to actually, it's going to make its way there eventually. But I think we're 10 to 20 years off of it. I think we're so premature. Is how do we it's to take a bunch of trial and error. I was like, okay, do I go across the country? And it's really hard to find it now, like it used to be in I'd say the 90s when .com kind of first happened, because there was all these gimmicks and stuff out there for BS websites. But we used to be able to find like a junk piece of property. Let's call it 1 acre. That's just an easy number. If I could buy a junk piece of 1 acre, pull that deed. Now, how do I take that deed, turn it into a a a smart contract or NFT or however we're going to intertwine that, but also give it to the county for tax purposes? And how are they going to intertwine it as well? Because we actually got to see, we got to be able to intertwine that back to real life.
The legalities.
So,
Yep.
correct. Yes, yes. So we got to be able to figure that part out. It's going to take a gazillion hours of somebody able to sit and write enough code for trial and error to say, okay, I think we got it. I mean, yeah, we can put it on white paper all day long and continue down this rabbit hole of what ifs, but eventually we got to sit down and say, okay, how do we write this?
Well,
And what
have you ever thought about looking into using what you know about IT to be a scrum master and therefore leading people in the creation of software using those principles that you hold dear?
for myself?
No, Meta.
Uh,
Oh, you mean building software for real
No.
estate? Is that what you're referencing?
So, for example, if it's
you're
one
onto
of those
something.
things where, sorry,
You're actually onto something right now. Now that you say
you,
that, because
you
it
hear
kind of
that,
fit,
right?
it does fit her. It does fit her profile, kind of.
So,
She'd have to swallow a little bit of the sword, but not the whole sword. to actually, but she actually looked into Scrum mastering. It would actually fit your profile pretty good. It's a lot of
I
work from home. It's a lot of
I know
software, and yeah, I mean,
I know women that do very well at Scrum mastering because it's basically playing referee between keyboard warrior alpha males. Dan, how would you describe what a Scrum master does?
Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Mary. I'll take this from here. The Scrum Master is somebody who spends a lot of time collecting and counting all the M&Ms that come in a bag. These are the kind of people that need to know exactly what kind of blue M&Ms are here, green M&Ms, green, red, and so forth. They're just somebody who's really more about like your process being done by what's being presented on the wall and like what's on the wall and like how we're doing things versus actuality of product. They're different people. I mean, they're good people. Scrum Masters are fine. They're just whippers. They just whip you so you get stuff done in your sprint. But do you want to invite them to parties? Hell no. I mean, they're not going to be somebody who can like make a cocktail very well. They're probably going to only drink Samuel Adams, and they don't really believe. They don't even believe in light beer, which is probably the only redeeming quality about them, I think, in a lot of ways. But
Oh,
you know,
I'm out though. I'm a whiskey and scotch drinker. I guess that's
Oh, so that means you're destined for management.
Is that what that's indicative of? This Scrum Master, I've never heard that word before.
Dan, keep going. What does a Scrum Master look like? What do they do on a daily basis? How do they get their jollies?
to scrum or not to scrum, must one be organized in order to make product? Must one be known to go from A to B and not go from C to R? Must we be so linear in our software development? I say no to Scrum. I say down to that. I say we go back to the old ways, the ways of the few and strong. I just felt like that was needed. I've been watching a lot of news, and I'm just feeling like the separation between left and right is becoming more and more apparent. And it was funny the other day. I was watching some like old shows from like I don't know the '80s and like '90s. The shows that we were talking about. Remember the shows where they're like, "This is Bobby. Bobby's gay, but he's a friend of ours." You know what I mean? But I remember the shows where they would introduce new cultures. But now those shows are like probably banned because how dare you show culture?
No, I think what happens now is, hey, look at Bobby. He's a token cis white male, right? And everyone, right? It's being
That's true.
inverted. The entire cast is being inverted.
Meet Bobby Frank. He used to be a Republican, but now he's a right-wing conspiracy nut, which means he's still a Republican. Vote Republican, and we'll keep you in power.
I can see the updated woke GI Joe soccer field things. Remember those? Hey, Billy. All right, and he's like falling down. Those guys won't let me play, and then me like they won't let you play because, well, where do I begin?
Bobby, you don't understand. Is it because I have an extra Y chromosome? No, Bobby. Because your eyes are blue, and only the brown eyes kids can play today.
We
Blah.
need melanated eyes, Bobby. Melanated
Exactly.
eyes.
So what is the topic here? By the way, people, you're listening to the SquareSpace. Degen conversations in a broadcaster voice. Dawn is the man who loves Scrum and the loneliness of one.
I think it would be a lonely job being a scrum master because you're playing referee. So long story short, there used to be um, there used to be a process kind of Bible for the way that you build software, right? So you meet with your client, and then you design the architecture, and then you design the code, and then you design the interface. And then 6 to 18 months later, you present your Mona Lisa to the client, at which point the client says, Do you have any Andy Warhol? And you're like, fuck, I just spent all the budget in 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's classic for us. I mean, software development, it's like you basically go in, you give them a proposal, you try to, but it's so funny. So many people on my team, because I have a lot of Indian folks on my team, and there's nothing wrong with Indian folks; they're great. But again, it's if I speak in my partners, he doesn't actually speak like this at all. He actually has a better English accent than I do. It's just the guys over in India have like the really hardcore, like don't ding that. They actually don't talk like that. That's actually racist. But they do
No, no,
talk
no.
with like a level of Indian mafia. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why do we have to make anything? Can we just take money? I'm like, no, you need to actually deliver. You know? Oh, I thought that he paid us $100. Only cost us $1. Why work to give him $100 product? Because I told him that I would give him $100 product. See, and if I deliver a product that is, what do you think it's worth? Well, I spent $1 on it, right? So what do we think it's worth? Well, we should mark it up at least $1, right? So we have a $2 product, but they bought $100 product. So that actually happens a lot. But you can navigate that, and then the team gets better, and it's all about goals. And the clients aren't exactly innocent either. By the way, clients will definitely start off with a minimal bike. They basically show you a bike, and then they hammer you with I just want a bicycle, Dan. And then you're like, are you sure you don't want to think about bigger wheels or better seat? No. And then they're like, maybe you're not the one, Dan. Like, oh, great. So now, like,
Dan,
I'm
what we're trying to
debating if I'm the
do,
one, right?
what we're trying to do is build a bike with one wheel. And we think that's going to be the way of the future. And no amount of thermodynamics or pavement is going to convince them that you're right. And so the idea behind so there's these two paradigms. One is waterfall, which is where you take 18 months to deliver a product, and the other one is agile methodology, which became popular maybe about 10, 15 years ago, I guess, where it's like, what if we, instead of waiting 18 months before we deliver a product to our end client,
Mm-hmm.
right? How might we ship small versions of this bike? So we'll build the chassis. Hey, you like the chassis? Great. What about chains? You like chains? Okay, so we'll put the chain on. What do you like, spokes? Okay, great. Right? So you slowly deliver this bike to them, all the while making sure that what you're building is going to be useful and usable for not only them but their end customers. So what they're trying to do is quicken these delivery cycles so that you're not building a horse instead of camel and vice versa.
Actually, and it's sort of like they represent sort of the two very classically human ways to make. Either one is we out to the nth detail, and then we put it all into RFPs, and then we have it go get built, and then we look at it and go, does that represent anything the client wanted? And they say no. Yes, but we can write that off for taxes, so let's keep it going, right? So they built something really big, and then Agile came in. But there's lots of other methods outside of that. There's like crazy Agile, or what
extreme programming, paired programming, yeah,
all that. I mean, there's just lots of different ways to sort of make. But I think it's going to be changing with AI. That's for sure. I mean, I don't understand why I should be coding anymore in a lot of ways. The computer has a novel understanding of environments and objects in scenes and complex interactions. Why can't I have a novel understanding of a Facebook site for cats? It should be able to generate that same thing and actually manifest it throughout the pieces. In fact, that's what I would be working on if I was in the AI space a little bit, along with about everything else, is that sort of almost like intent interpolation. In other words, AI understands your intent, but then it maps it all the way down to the foundation of like what would then be required to make that manifestation seamless across all your expectations. Now that is some pretty sexy stuff, because that means the computer can basically go like, you said, well, I want an apple. And you go like, oh, he wants an apple. That's because it's 2:00 in the afternoon. This actually is body chemistry is this and needs some entrance. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, he probably wants a shiny one, so we should give him a shiny one. Okay, that's great. But don't give him a Georgia fruit, give him an XYZ. Right? So it understands all those parameters and sort of, manifest it, which is in a lot of ways
Earl Grey
like
hot.
how we work, Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Earl Grey hot.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I mean, the more we build out AI, the more we sort of make it mimic ourselves, how we would expect things. And then you're gonna end up going full circle, right? And then you're gonna get to the
Well,
point where the AI is gonna be like, let's make a human. What do you think it should be bound with? Let's give it some principles, right? So it's like we're like on that
well, that I
turnstile.
think that's what we're afraid of with AI. We're afraid that AI is going to be like us because we've seen what we do to people that we think we're better than.
That's true. Yeah, I definitely think. Yeah, I think that's probably the calamity group. You know, the group who are sort of responsible for like they're always updating us on like, hey, remember those models we had in humanity? Yeah, well they're off. Why? We just saw somebody kill somebody else. You know, the data's always sort of negative. You know.
Dan, were you in Zen Spaces when that Ken guy was around who was working on Wantware and Mind Active? Have you read about that?
Yeah, yeah, I have. I've talked to him. We need to post to get together again. But what do you think of his stuff?
Well, it's just you were talking about mapping intents and expressions and things like that, and it reminded me of his project. He kind of dipped off. He kind of disappeared. He has a Discord, but I think that that's definitely the future and where they're going, and it is kind of nerve-wracking, especially when you look at like the bracelets, right? The VR bracelets, and they're mapping these signals from our minds. It
Yeah,
gets really scary when you, especially when you bring up that thing about, well, the AI says, okay, you want the apple, but your body says that you need XYZ. You know,
right.
that's where explicit consent, I believe, would definitely come in, doing that mechanism.
Yeah, and the thing with the funny thing with explicit consent is that over the last probably 10 years since the dawn, I'd say, of the iPhone sort of emerging, and we had so much apps, right? We were in the app world. Is that notion of explicit consent sort of got pushed to the very front of the experience? Obviously, it has to be at the front in order to initiate it. But I think it is sort of like compounded. Like, how many different things do you give implicit consent on, and which ones actually have a governing impact of your life? So you'd say like Apple, Amazon, and what's funny is they're all the same pillars that run the world, right? So Amazon, supplies a lot of goods, and therefore it can know about your shopping patterns, right? Apple has your data, or Google has your data in terms of your body data. I don't know if it's bad per se. I think it's like we love it. The thing that sucks is that we only hear the stories that actually caused horrific, right? We rarely hear the stories about how everything just worked out, right? Susan got home and they were able to get in the house and no fire happened, because of various alerts or sensors or whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, I feel the caution of it, but at the same time, I sort of welcome the bliss of the intuitive magic side of it, assuming there's a level of transparency. You know what I mean? In other words, I want to be able to see the pipe stream. I want to see the data stream. I want that level of transparency, but I don't know how far it goes. Hey,
Yeah,
Kit.
where it's being stored is going to be extreme. Where all is our data traveling when you have these mapped signals of my mind and you
Yeah,
have all this data of my mind. That's, I think, and that's where homomorphic encryption comes in, I believe, if we can figure out how to implement that.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, Kit.
Hi, Kit.
Hey, so I kind of like what I just popped into randomly. So you're talking about AI and an ideal of what the fear is of AI. It's not necessarily the fear of it, in my opinion, of it being too human. Is the lack of human, of AI being more of just a straight subconsciousness to where it enters into the world of you know dark matter or dark web, dark theory in general, and to have the consciousness would be the implementation of humanism, more or less, right?
If you
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you would say that our consciousness is what gives us that human ability, I guess I mean, that goes down to that ethical question. When you have a self-driving car, do you choose them? If you have to hit someone, do you choose the mother or the child? How do you give an AI that humanness and that same type of consciousness that we have? Is it possible?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, that's the point in time, like for us as the humans wanting to have the control over the AI, but in the same time, why can't we be the ID of the consciousness for the AI?
I'm sorry. My wife sucked me into something. I missed the question. What are we talking about?
I think it would be more like kind of using AI to help us, right? We're just using it to expedite our processes and help us make these decisions if we don't rely on it too completely. I think, is that what you're kind of going at, Kit?
Yeah, generally, but the free radicals of that theory would be more or less because the brain of our own consciousness still has dark matter as well as the AI, to where there is increase of error.
Can you elaborate on how the dark matter comes into play? I'm not well versed on that.
Dark matter is just a generalized term of the theory of, our brains, our cells. We react without thought, but the processes are still in action, to where it gives that cause and effect without the consciousness actually aware of what happened, fight or flight. So when it comes to AI, our reactions can cause an error of increasing the percentile of the dark matter or dark web or dark theory.
I definitely think that penetration within the mind, in terms of how we go and try to analyze it from an AI standpoint, is woefully misunderstood. Meaning, there's probably like the total understanding of your brain is probably not going to be as clear as we think it is. Like, it's not. I'm just thinking, like, if you were on Saturn with a telescope looking at traffic intersection, like from that distance, and trying to pinpoint just what was going on in the intersection. That's like what I feel like it's going to be the chasm to cross, is that there's going to be so much noise, and trying to understand it. Now, there's already right now somebody in a room who's hooked up to a system and is matching things, right? They're like moving a cursor with their eye, with their mind. They're matching up words to go together. They're doing a lot of rudimentary stuff, but whether or not any of that rudimentary stuff is going to move into something more powerful, let's say the notion of like almost like a Marvel telekinesis like fact, like I can turn on the lights off and on. Well, that's probably not so much the power of my mind flicking a switch. That's my mind centering on a statement in my head that maybe has a unique resonance that the system can then monitor, right? So I almost focus on something, and there's probably going to be some studies in this already where you focus on the orange ball, and whenever you focus on the orange ball, you have that in mind, and that tells the Alexa, right, to turn on the lights or off or whatever. I mean, it's going to be stuff like that. It's not going to be
Well,
like,
yeah, we
plug it
already
in and
have
it's like
it.
I got a full download.
We already have this with kind of voice as an interface, right? Voice as an interface is that blurring of lines.
I'm sorry, we missed that. You got your phone call. Well, while he's on that phone call real quick, I was going to say, Dan, we kind of are working on that ever since Stephen Hawking's, obviously, with the power of thought, but for kinesthetics and muscle movement, muscle memory, not just the brain. We have this for people that are blind. We can do memory mapping with the train of thought, so it can create generalized imaging of just like blurred shadow grayscales. Grayscaling is another theory of people. Like, I can tell there's 3 different people. One person that can actually think, and if I say think of a blue circle in your mind, it could be vivid, perfect sphere, blue color. Other people can kind of see in their head gray matter, and then the other people they know, they're self-aware of, they've seen a circle before, they know what the color blue is, but they can't image it in their head fully. So those are the different trains of thoughts that we're dealing with when we're working with the kinesthetics of people that are trying to brain map with neurons, connections, kinesthetics through a transplant within the brain or with stem cells. And then also we go with just in general, like I'm in orthodox prosthetics. So when we're trying to do kinesthetics for like a missing limb, the idea is that you have it abductions with adductors of the positive and negative forces of energy that you'll disperse and transfer between muscles. But if you're missing one, what we'll end up having is a kinesthetic battery that will receive the message and actually store that energy from one muscle to where it can continue moving with the muscle memory, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Kit. How do you know all this stuff? What's your background? Sounds like you're doing a lot of interesting bio and brain and other stuff. Or maybe you're just interested. Maybe you're just that's really cool, though. I mean, I think I agree. I've seen some of the like here in Ohio, Battelle and Ohio State today. They did a couple different neuromodulation sort of big exposés where they did one where they put a chip on a guy's jawbone, and it was for migraine pain, and they were able to like click a switch on his phone. This is back on his Nokia, he was able to dial 69 on his phone or whatever, and it would turn off his headache, right? And that's kind of going into play. And I do think I saw something yesterday where people were talking about the rise of Minority Report in the sense of, can we perceive crime before it happens, right? We're talking a lot about that right now with gun control and everything else. And then there was also this likeliness of, can you actually restrain somebody without cuffs? And they showed in Minority Report, they put the thing around your neck, right? Which is like a little thing that goes around the back of your neck. It's like a clamp. And that basically almost like a neural paralyzer. It's like a neural paralyzer, and like boom, you're down and whatnot. I definitely think that's arriving or coming, if you think about it.
Oh yeah. There's fine lines with yes, I will say that has been a thought that is something that we've tested out on animals. I have a medical background. Just a small story is like I've been a field medic in the military. I'm right now not a prosthetist anymore. I'm licensed, but don't practice anymore. I'm a practitioner and physical therapist, but I'm part owner of a very large company in the medical orthotics prosthetics division.
Awesome, very cool. Yeah, I think it's an exciting space, and it's moving so much faster. I thought it was moving, at the typical innovation pace of, every year we see something, but now I feel like things are moving in almost like 120 day, almost like every 3 to 4 months. There's like another, hey, like we got another, like, oh yeah, we beat the speed of light. Oh, we can go to warp drive. Klingons are real. It's just like bam, bam, bam. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I do think there's a lot of throwing caution to the wind right now in terms of the manifestation of it. I think that's kind of classic with new technologies. I feel like we build all the fringeness and we kind of dance around the atom bomb, but we don't necessarily build the atom bomb just yet. But we definitely build all the capability to not only wage, a new kind of thing, but we sort of, we keep it. You have to look across the globe too. I think that's the other thing that's really been interesting is like what I've been looking at ADI is looking at all the AI models, and they're coming out from everywhere, which means that you're going to have people doing ethical models and non-ethical models, and that'll be an interesting place.
So I'm about to have to leave, but I really wanted to, Kit, I think you'll really, if you've never listened to Dr. Jasmine Berry talk, if you haven't connected with her or viewed her, she's a really awesome human. She definitely deals with a lot of, she's like a neuroscientist, and she deals a lot with AI and healthcare and, the ethical boundaries and its limitations and, what they want to do with it. So intelligent. She's so intelligent. She's wonderful to listen to. She has a space coming up. I pinned it to the top because I am about to have to leave. But she's really she talks a lot about all of these things all the time, and I really like to listen to her. So I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, y'all have a good day.
See you, Meta Baby.
Oh, and hey, Michael, thank you for telling me I need to be a Scrum Master. I'll go look into that as I try to figure out my life. Thank you.
Oh no, he was trying to tell somebody what to do.
No, I quit my job this morning.
What?
Yeah, I quit my second job this morning, And I just, I never do. Anytime I think I'm gonna do like a typical 8 to 5, 8 to 4 thing, like I always just wind up. It never works.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was telling me I needed to be a scrum master. Hopefully, I'll get to talk to him later. He was giving me advice, I guess. But I gotta go. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you're the guy, Ahmed. Oh my God, you're so smart.
Before you run away, when you get a chance, DM me. I want to talk about what your next project is going to be. Bye.
I would love to talk to you. Yes, thank you. Bye.
Very cool. All right.
Hi, Dan.
Well, I don't know where our host is. Hey, how you doing, Ahmed?
Hey, what's going on?
Doing well, thank you. Kit is so smart. She's a wealth of knowledge all the time. Um, what's going on? I'm just trying to build a user interface to a AI product. It's-
Well, you've come to the wrong place, Ahmed. Hey, Dan?
I know. You always create these useless spaces, Mikey.
Right?
Nothing happens in them. People just come around. They say
It's a
absolute
gift.
fluffy
really.
stuff, and total waste of time.
Yeah, it's imagine a time where time moves up instead of forward. The orthogonal universe, where you get forward on your back.
That means you're
Listening
approaching
to
death faster than you
SquareSpace.
need to. I just came by to say hello to everybody, and Mike, I need to catch up with you whenever you get a chance. Please give me a call.
Absolutely. Say hi, Ali, to Ahmed.
Hi, Ali. Oh, actually, Ali is the person that I need to talk to. Maybe I'll just call her.
Yeah, I know. You don't need me anymore.
Ali, I'm gonna give you a shout. Are you available?
I'm driving right now.
Oh,
So kind of.
okay. Never mind. What about after you're done driving?
What are we doing afterwards?
Probably I'm eating a burrito.
I'll,
We're just gonna be chilling.
I'll give you guys a call around 1 if that's a good time.
Yeah, we should be back home by then. Actually, what we're going to be doing is I was teaching music this week to the kids, and some of the kids were like, because we talked about the connection of math and music, they said out loud that they didn't feel comfortable with math, and so while I was
Obviously,
teaching,
I perked up. And
yeah,
I was like, huh.
huh. So while I'm
Don't you like about math?
Yeah.
I'm going to change your mind.
So I'm teaching kids music, and she's on the whiteboard doing ax plus y equals b or whatever the hell. Did I mess that up? Mx plus b equals y equals mx plus b?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Took me about 4 times.
It's good.
All right.
I gotta jump. I'll be back. Bye.
All right, well, so we're going to have like a little cabling station where the kids, in addition to being able to steel pan, they can put together an Ethernet cable.
Use and be like, this is what I made today.
Yeah, imagine they build their own Ethernet cable and they can plug it into their computer at home.
And then we say, you can have a job in this.
Yes, you could have a job in this. Would you like to replace Brian? Because Brian doesn't like this industry anymore. Why would you like to enter an industry that Brian doesn't want to be in? Well, that's not what you should ask. You should ask yourself, what amount of money was able to keep Brian in this space? That's the question you should be asking.
It's the SquareSpace. Degen conversations in a broadcasted voice. Of depth and knowledge and depths of doom, AI is coming for you. Don't get your Fruit Looms. When AI comes for you deep in the night, what will you do? Will you sit tight?
I liked the Edgar Allan Poe twist.
Well, here's my update. I'm in Kentucky. My wife dragged me down here to Kentucky to do research on Kentucky goblins. She feels that she could be related to the Kentucky goblins of what's that, Mothman fame. So we're just kind of, it's true, we're actually here doing research on family, but not on goblins. And we're in a very expensive Airbnb. It's my first Airbnb. Pretty excited about it. It has more windows than I would ever have, but I think that's good. The floors are pretty decent. It's the quietest place we've ever been in. So that's kind of nice.
All right. So sorry, but was it goblins or cobblestone, like cobble?
No, so Kentucky Goblins is I guess urban myth story in Kentucky about these aliens that are here in Kentucky that are really short, and they're like in the forests or whatever, I don't know, forest areas. And they're not hunting for ginseng. That's the other thing you can hunt for, and you can hunt for ginseng. That's a whole other sort of thread. But yeah, so there's like this Mothman story that connects to the fact that these aliens called Kentucky Goblins are down here. And there's a series on Amazon called The Hellier. I think it's called the Hellier series, and they kind of chase these people, or they follow these people that go to Hellier, Kentucky, right, or West Virginia. I think so. Hellier, Kentucky, yeah. And they basically commune with the spirits, and they try to get a hold of a goblin.
I believe that wholeheartedly. I've spent some time on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee. I did hike the Appalachians a few years ago, and there is some times where I was either hallucinating or just, just mental psychology that my psyche wasn't all there.
I'm a big Sasquatch fan, so my wife and I like these urban crazy stories just because, one, they get us out of the house. Two, we can go places, and she's a research hound, so research like everything, and then buy all the artifacts on eBay, and then then it's like that's our adventure. So it's fun. I think I believe in it. I mean, if you think about it, what I think would be interesting is like 100 years from now, what stories will they tell about this era? Like what incredible stories would they write? I wonder if they'll talk about, remember back those days they had a shooting every day. Like, I mean, that's kind of true, but I don't know.
I think they'll just talk about our crazy rituals, such as chasing spirits, just like you're talking about people in the past or as of current chasing spirits.
Yeah, I like that.
But it is foreverly saved onto the blockchain through AI.
That's what we need. No one's really done a good alien sort of story that then connects back to the blockchain, and then sort of has to have, that would be a really kind of a cool story as to like, we got to go chain because it's the only way to sort of fight the aliens in the future, because as long as we're decentralized but connected on a central ledger, it's like a technology they can't understand. Although I don't know, that might be a little far-fetched, because you see the aliens landing here and go like, they all use this thing called Bitcoin. That's weird. Why do they do that? I don't know. It's confusing us. Let us leave this planet. I mean, I don't know.
And then there's the plot twist that aliens are actually us from the future, or the quantum leap physics. They jumped through that wormhole of string theory.
Yeah, completely. And then like they get back up into space and they pulls off the alien mask, and it's like Lindsey Graham. He's like, God damn it! No, I'm just kidding.
Like, what? Oh, jeez.
Conspiracies. I remember back in the day when conspiracies used to be like a fun thing to talk about. Like you'd hear somebody talk about them, But now it's like if you have a conspiracy, it's, I don't know. It's no longer like, creativity is getting a bad rap for itself. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Now it's maxis. That maxi set of mind that people have. There's no way to persuade them into any other.
I've been listening to this fun audiobook the last couple of days called I'll have to post it in the nets. It's feline philosophy. It's like the philosophy of cats or something like that. And man, it's really good. But it talks a lot about. It kind of combines all the philosophies. It kind of compares casts to like Buddhism and like Taoism and all these things in terms of like how they think, or how they work or perform or whatever. Granted, it's all observational, so it's not like you talk to a cat. But, but at the same time, it's cool though. It's really cool.
I feel like Kappa should be in here. He would be telling you all the reasons why a cat would be partially spiritual. Or Mateos.
I definitely think they are. I mean, we have three of them, and yeah, man. But it's funny. They were talking about, this guy was talking about cats have no loyalty and no longer recognize you in the room no more than they understand whether or not the day is here or the day is not. It's like all very like, I don't know. After a while, you listen to that and you hear all the history of like cats in Egypt, and you hear about the Romans when they killed people, when they like someone Roman senator stepped on a cat's tail and then they lynched him. Stuff like it's just it is wild to hear the reverence, and then at the same time to hear sort of. It's just interesting. I mean, it's interesting to look back in history. It's funny. I haven't gotten into history as much as I have in the last 6 months, and that's largely because of AI. I can't explain it. I think part of it's because I've been playing around with AI art tools, and you want to go and find the coolest kind of things for your prompts. So you go and you seek out things, and it's been a lot of fun.
So you're saying that the cats were entitled back in the day of the Roman Empire time frame. So in transitive thought process would be like the difference between dogs and cats was the way that they were raised. So what's equatable nowadays would be the post-millennial genre or era of humans or we're treating them like cats.
I see what you're saying.
I think it's the rise of the autists. We thought this would be the creator economy, and it would be the rise of the artists, but no, it's the rise of the autists.
The autists with the theater.
With the autism, people with a touch of the autism that we hire to do smart contract language development.
Hey, I'm here.
Huh?
Right here.
You're right here.
Now, the autist, how are we defining the autist? What is an autist? Are you an autist?
An autist is defined in the DSM-4 under autism.
All right, so does that mean you're autistic, or?
Are we autistic?
We are.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, so Degen is synonymous with autistic.
I think so.
It's considered people on the spectrum, and everybody's on the spectrum. It depends on the percentage of the spectrum. Being politically correct at this point in time.
I found a perfect picture from Investments Hulk, one of the top, Mount Rushmore accounts, that explains this very well with our friend. Where is the friend? Où se trouve l'ami? I'll find it.
All right, what's it say?
Wow, the guy took it down.
What? The guy took it down?
Yeah, it was a post that was unifying the Venn diagram of Pepe the Frog enthusiasts and those living with autism in the Web3 space as being one and the same.
I accidentally removed Alikoski. I was trying to send him a mic, so hopefully he comes back.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Hey, Ann, what's going on? It's been a while since we've seen Ann. Ann, the best photographer on Twitter today. Like, dude, look at that image at the top right now. Ann, you're a monster.
Oh, dude, stop. Thank you, though. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Seriously, thank you. I'm definitely not the best, but I'm trying. But yeah, I took that yesterday.
The upside down landscapes, I'm
I
loving.
took that yesterday. I
Whoa.
know. I've been out and about all day, like all this week 'cause I've been off for a couple of days. And my thing is, well, I just take my camera everywhere. I'm going to go take some photos. I'm going to hit Long Beach and San Pedro this evening, I think, for sunset. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Do you have a channel where you just like talk on the way to the site? I'd
Really? No.
Yeah.
I do not.
If you're just sitting in the car, right?
That's true. That's true. I guess I could throw up little snippets on the Insta, or here, I guess.
Because nobody knows. We know of your art, but we don't know about the artist.
I know. I'm trying to keep that elusive. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think that could work for you. You know what I mean? You start wearing weird fashion, don't talk to people, have a weird twitch.
You mean that's not how I present already?
I think the greatest epochs of our lives are when we rebaptize our worst qualities as our best.
I love that.
That's Nietzsche.
Ooh, no, that's a good one. That's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
That's food for thought, really, this morning.
Risk cannot be destroyed, only transformed. If you have something weird about you, put it on TikTok. They love that shit. 15 seconds max.
But we'll take the weirdness here as well. Please, Ian, please share your weirdness. We do accept it.
What's up, guys? Good morning.
You gotta say it.
All right. Good morning, guys. KC style. The SquareSpace. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the SquareSpace, where we hold Degen conversations in a broadcaster's voice. Good fucking morning, guys. How are we?
I'm alive.
Amen. That's all we can ask for.
Do you believe in have you it's I feel like you've gotten everything you needed to get out of that AI.
Well, that would require one to understand what they need.
Like, I feel like you turned a language corner after dealing with the AI, where you were able to see through language.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I'm getting better each day. Always learning new words, trying to pressure myself to at least become aware of like at least 3 new words a day. And also
I like
the
it.
application.
3 new words a day. It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, and every time you say the word, you yell out loud.
Oh man! Every time someone pisses me off, I'm gonna try this stress protocol I'm developing. I'm just gonna reiterate the SquareSpace Degen conversation in the broadcaster voice whenever someone pisses me off in life. Like at work today, I got work at 11. So if they fucking piss me off, man, I'm just gonna be like, the SquareSpace Degen conversations in a broadcaster voice. Just keep it pushing, bro.
That's literally an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer was trying this positive thinking, right? And then he goes insane.
Oh shit! There's a difference between I think it's called pragmatic positivity and unrealistic positivity. I had to experience
There is
that
negative thinking, positive thinking, and right thinking.
You said and right thinking?
Yeah.
A negative positive. Oh my god, I can't speak. I have not had my coffee yet. Negative positive possibility. Oh my god.
Negative positivity. I got you.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll help you there. Yeah.
It could also be hospitated. I can't even talk now. Gosh dang it! It's contagious. The contagion continues.
I don't.
Yeah, in sales we used to have this thing called posi-negging. It's basically like where you deliver positive information in the form as if it's like something negative. Yeah.
Oh, so you want to? What happened last night to the space? Because I was like in one ear and out the other, and all of a sudden, Donnie popped, or Morrison, Daniel Morrison, I think it was. He was talking, and then all of a sudden I looked down, like, oh, everybody's gone.
Oh, didn't Dan do the outro? Who did the outro
Oh,
yesterday?
that's what was going on. Okay, because he just popped in, and then all of a sudden you guys rugged.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things where every time there's this weird thing that Twitter does, and I think it could be planned because it would be a beautiful thing to write, where when there's any extended lull in a conversation, they're like, "Oh, I know what you need, fucking Matios," and I'm like, "Ah, shit," right? And now I'm here for another hour and a half, right? And we're playing a game where how long can we keep Kappa here, right? And it's like 3 hours later.
Oh my gosh.
Nice. But thank you for the co-host invite holding the room. I'm gonna pop out because I got right now is the time that another community space is opening. I gotta jump into.
All
Take care,
right,
Kit. It was nice talking to you.
on in. If you're just joining us, this is the SquareSpace, Degenerate Conversations in a Broadcaster Voice. Today we are grateful to be on the right side of the bars and the right side of the ground. If you're not as fortunate as us, we wish you freedom, as long as it doesn't impinge on the freedoms of others. Feel me?
Feel me? Sorry.
Yeah, you gotta give us the morning freestyle, Kappa.
No. No morning freestyles for me, brother. Later, man. Later. I'll write a VGX freestyle for you.
My name is Cap, no Kappa.
They want me to rap, but I'm not a rapper.
I'm just a rapper like Rap to Luna.
Like rap, Luna. Dude, did you I know you popped in and out yesterday, but did you hear that the VGX freestyle we were doing?
Yes, I did. It was gorgeous,
Oh, dude, it
right?
transcended into something much more much much more vulgar as
Well,
with everything.
well, you understand the mechanics of laughter, right? And so once you understand the mechanics of laughter, you know the bisociation, that's the entirety of hip hop,
Mm.
right? That's all it is. What is a bar? A bar is a bisociation of two unrelated matrices of experience,
Mm.
right? That's all battle rap is. I take your dome and I put it in Rome, and then I turn you around and give you Aristotle. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it's not hard once you understand the mechanics, and if you understand the mechanics enough, you like if you're like me, you can get bored with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when I first discovered it, it was like, oh yeah, this is it. Now
Oh
it's
yeah.
just infected my brain where I can't not speak in analogies,
Yeah. Well,
right?
yeah, I have a different thing. I'm sorry, I completely went somewhere else with my head.
Easy.
Yeah. No. I was just thinking about
Sounds pretty dark.
yeah, using my psychological awareness for malpractice.
I mean, it could be your psychological. It could be your gut bacteria. Who knows where things start? You know, I told my professor, um, you know, we make decisions emotionally and rationalize them logically, and he said, incorrect. Cognition and emotion are hard to tease apart.
Hmm. Cognition and emotion are hard to tease apart. Hmm.
We ask ourselves, where do our decisions come from? Do they come from our mind? Do they come from our body? Do they come from the cognitive a priori? You know, Jordan Peterson's favorite allusion to Kant. And is it possible that we're not making decisions, our body is not making decisions, but our genetics are making decisions?
Hmm.
Right? Then you start getting into Brett Weinstein and what they call it? Epigenetics?
Unfamiliar.
Dan, how does epigenetics work? Ann, you guys fuck with Brett Weinstein?
No, I haven't. I I do not know what that is. Epigenetic. What is that? Is that the?
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
You think maybe it can be a combination, Michael?
I mean, wouldn't it be the study of? I mean, just break down the word, right?
One sec. Ali, go ahead. What are epigenetics?
Oh, wow. I didn't have to summarize it in one sentence. Okay, so normally the way that we produce eggs and sperm, we divide our DNA in half, and so it's called a haploid. Now, in that process, our body has the ability to actually edit the DNA that we pass on. And so, depending on your lineage, if you are someone that's from, like, let's say, a nomadic tribe, you travel around, you'd want to make a lot of really genetically diverse babies. So you're predisposed to making a lot of edits in that. And you'll see that in, your offspring, where your children will look varied. Now, in that ability, when something traumatic or large or something in the environment happens, the parent DNA will often change their eggs and sperm in such a way to deal with that in the future. So, for example, I think the best case, I saw a really amazing study looking at Holocaust survivors and their children, and in the way that their genetics deal with, what's the word? Adversity? No. Stress? That's the word I'm looking for. So their stress genes actually change from the survivors to their children, in that they have just the ability to undergo more stress because they've been through such a traumatic experience. And so we thought in the past that it would take a really long time to change genetically, but we find that it can happen in one generation. That's the best way to say it.
If we look deeply within our history, we will find that we are not descended. Right? The opening to hardcore history.
Wow.
We are not descended from fearful men.
It's like my grandma is a survivor of the Japanese internment, and so just like thinking about what kind of stress she went under and how did she change our genes, passed down, how did, from the other side, being indentured slaves, like how did they change our DNA in order to allow us to be able to handle stress more? Do you know what I mean? I think about that a lot because people ask me a lot why I'm so patient, and I'm like, it's probably the DNA, because my grandparents were motherfuckers.
You're right.
Like, they lit my grandfather's stuff on fire because of Jamaican independence. We got here because of that. Like,
they killed my grandfather.
So yeah, we're both descendants of motherfuckers. So probably
I think we all are, to a degree. That's very, very, very interesting. Let's see. Forced adaptation within a generation genetically is a. AI does say that our biggest superpower, so to speak, is our power of adaptation.
So that would mean that generationally, then you would just be more. But it's also almost not I don't know if it's a good or bad trait, right? To be more, how can I say this, resilient to stress, maybe, because then it's almost like if the world is going downwards, then I mean, I guess you'd be able to handle it more, but then is being able to handle more shit better for you?
It depends on how you define good and bad.
I don't know. Or is it almost, it's almost like a trap downwards? I don't know if that makes any, I don't, you know what? I'm not.
It's a trap upward.
You need to get some coffee.
Yeah, it can be both of those things simultaneously.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. I'm I'm hearing this and I'm like thinking, okay, that's great. That's, I'm thinking like the silver lining, and then I'm thinking like the pros and cons of that, right? What are the cons of that? What are the pros of that? It's fascinating. Yeah, the ability to change in one generation, or to slightly change in one generation is really fascinating to me too.
Well, how different are you from your parents? Like I look at my parents and I say, I see the issues they have, and their parents, I'm sure, had different issues as well. But as it's trickled down, I feel like Jordan Peterson also references the point of genetic adaptation is only induced through stress. So, in order to unlock this genetic potential, this potential that is just locked and stored away in our DNA and genetics as beings, can only be unlocked in stressful situations. So basically, like, you might not know what the fuck to do. This is just an example, very theoretical, obviously, but like you might not know what the fuck to do if you were thrown out in the woods, right? Someone throws you out in the woods, suddenly like you just start to know shit, like not really know shit, but like you kind of just start to have an inclination on your awareness of your surroundings, maybe even a sense of path or sense of direction. Like maybe you like, oh shit, that looks like the North Star. You know what I mean? And it I don't know. I think that they've
I
hinted
think
at
it
it.
might be. Is that the North Star? I think that's a North Star. You think
Yeah.
that's a North Star? No, I think that's a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what would happen if you put modern man in the forest. I don't think they would find true north. I think they would find a goat and trip over a log.
It depends on when they discovered the internet, because of their ability to focus. Because if you didn't have the internet, I think you'd be able to look at the sky and focus and notice, okay, that one never moves. Probably true.
We forget to ask before we have these conversations, when were you born? Before cell phone or after cell phone? Because if you're BC, you do not look at this world the same. If you were born
Before
after
cell phones,
the
BC.
internet, if you were born with the internet in your hands, it's a completely different world.
Oh, dude, I was having a
Absolutely.
conversation literally yesterday about this. I said people who, like myself, who was born before cell phones, like we have an understanding, and we do view the world and things differently than, because I'm trying to put myself into my son's I have a child. I have a 20-year-old, so I'm at this point now able to like at least brought him up in this after, or in this cell phone iPad world. And it is, I don't know, like it's a hard thing, because like it's such a divide for, I'm gonna just say, like the first generation of this, like for me and my kid, because it's just like I don't know like how he sees the world. Like he must see the world in a really crazy way, and I do try to, but I have a hard time like cutting off that part of me that understands that we lived before all this. Like it was possible to live and survive and thrive before cell phones and before beepers, right?
We needed each other more.
Yes, even before walk around telephones, or you know what I mean, like wireless telephones. Like, come on, you know you know what I mean? Like you come from that world, you know what I
You
mean?
couldn't be a flake back then. You couldn't just text and be like, can't be there. If you said you were going to be somewhere, you had to be there to tell the person you can't be there. You have to be there, otherwise you're in the wind somewhere and dead, maybe.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know.
Maybe you got set up, right?
But here's what's interesting to me, though. Even though I grew up in that world, and I was, I mean, I'm not, it doesn't matter. I mean, anyone can find me on the internet and probably age me. So, like, when I went to college, that's when the internet was, you know what I mean, was born, right? I remember my first, a friend of mine, she's like, check this out. What the hell? The dial up, right? Took 12 minutes to fucking log in, even. But, you know, yeah, so, I wrote my college papers on an electric typewriter. Yeah. So, and yeah, yeah. Yeah, it blows. Yeah, but here's the thing for me is that now with all the years have gone by, I find myself pushing myself to like put my phone away, and then I have anxiety about it. You know what I mean? Like we learn very quickly. We're very, again, going back to like adaptation thing. I don't like it. I kind of wish we could go back, but I understand that we can't. The only way I can go back is if I go live on an island in the middle of nowhere, right? And that's how you live back in the 80s, or back in the thing. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, no, it's just adaptation. I find it very unnerving, honestly, that I feel like I need technology when I didn't need it for fucking 20 years, right? And then the next 20 year, you know what I mean, is this whole
Well,
for 20 years is this extreme change of
the
20
thing is,
years.
like, we used to have banks as intermediaries. Now we have technology platforms intermediating our what used to be meat-body relationships.
Yeah.
Right? Like in another world, like I really see you guys as my co-workers who are working in the same building, but we all have our own office. And sometimes we go on coffee break together and find ourselves in the cafeteria.
Hmm. Okay, I like that. All right.
It's a community of practice, and everyone has their own business, right? Brian has his own business, Mr. Raj, you, Dan, everyone, even Andre, right? And what we're doing, I find, is that people are discovering new possibilities for their skill sets.
Ooh, yes. I agree with that 100%.
Because if you put a smart contract person with an artist, now you have a whole collection.
Yeah.
Right? And it
Yes.
only takes those two people, eh? It's like two pizza team. Everyone gets one pizza in that room, right? And you don't need anyone else. So, well, you might need Matt for the cybersecurity to make sure that the one person doesn't rug the other. But apart from that, you're good.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, and you're right. I mean, I've said this. It's a straight. I say this like I sound like a dinosaur, though. It's like, oh, I remember when we used to write letters to my friends, which I did. You know what I mean?
I remember when humans used to create art, and now we have. What happened?
I'm just thinking about getting letters in the mail. I have a box
Right?
of letters that I used to get from my friends because we would just send each other mail. Right? Oh God, I miss mail.
Yes, I have I have a shoebox. I have probably have 2 or 3
That's shoebox
letters.
full of mail.
Yeah, when I was like 16, like 17, so I moved to another country. When I was away, I was taken away from everything I knew, whatever, at 16, and taken to another country. So of course, letter writing was the only thing. So I have like boxes of letters when I was like 17 to my friends, and that they're what they wrote to me. Oh, it's so cute to look through once in a while.
That little orange sweater that I wear, somebody sent me that when I was 16, and I keep it because it came with a letter, and I'm like, oh my God, it just reminds me of like that age of being 16 and sending actual letters.
I think it's still the reason I still have this $25 not silver chain. I don't want a new one. I want to have the same original cheap ass chain that I bought when I was 15 years old because I want to be cool. Yeah, it's never getting an upgrade. Never.
No, okay, but here's a fascinating thing. I think we all want to stop. Like we all start wearing the clothes around 20. When we're around 20, we kind of don't stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
25. I mean, I think it's such a normal human thing. I think we find something we like, and then that's it, and then we kind of
It's
don't
kind of like
go
that.
further. Yeah.
You ever read Demographics Explains 2/3 of Everything? David Foote, right? The Boom Bust and Echo book, where if you look at the U.S. wins a world war, men come home, there's a baby boom, and if you follow the course of their lives from having kids, and now you have Mattel and Barbie, and then you have fast food, and then you know what I mean? Before that, you have the sexual revolution with the advent of cars, and you can do it in the backseat, right? You're just following these demographics.
No, that's very true. So I guess I should be looking at what my kid liked. You know what I mean? I mean,
Like people talk about making a game. It's like, have you heard of Roblox that has like 1 in every 4 kids? It's like the biggest platform ever, Roblox.
Wow, I have not heard about Roblox.
Oh man, Roblox. It's like Matthios's kids first put me onto it.
Oh,
Roblox
see,
is like,
out
yeah.
of the loop now because my kid's 20. So like I'm out of the kid loop now. I don't know what's hip or what kids are doing.
It's still music. You know, the reason I teach music is because I know if I understand what music they love and I play that with my instrument, then they're going to like me, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's the easiest way to get their attention, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So
Shoes, I would say.
shoes is another big thing.
Shoes is easy.
Shoes you don't have to say a word.
Just stunt on them with some nice shoes.
Yeah, be like, look, I have better shoes than you. What did you say? That's what I thought.
And the girls is easy too. If you wear something designer, they're ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're either loved or hated, right? If you wear something designer, depending on what group you're walking.
How you wear it. So if you wear it sloppily, the cool kids like you, and the kids that are grunge like you. You know, it's how you carry it. But yeah.
Okay, fair
Cut it a little bit, and then the kids are, ah. You know what I mean? Awesome.
I'm so cool. I don't even care about this thing.
Yeah, I cut a hole in it.
Yeah.
Ah.
I cut a hole in it. That's so my childhood.
Right? So easy. I put some safety pins in it. Ah!
Wow.
I bedazzled my shirt, girls.
Yes, I have a bedazzler. Yes, I use my bedazzler.
I wanted a bedazzler so bad. And I can admit that
Donnie.
now, later in life.
You were born in the wrong time, Donnie. It's okay,
Yeah.
you could have a renaissance.
Dude, I know. So like, and I went to school in Scotland. I went to all girls school there, and there was strict uniform, right? There was one store that you could buy your uniform from. That's it. Like just one store, no variations. So, you know, that annoys me. So, you know, they teach you how to sew in women's schools and in all girls schools. And so, oh great, you teach me how to sew, great. So I would continually alter my uniform, and I was obsessed with prints. So I would continually put buttons like on my blazer, you know, like down the wrist side, like in a lot of them, not just like one or two, but like you know what I mean, 10 on one side, 10 on the other. I'd shorten my skirt. And oh yeah, altering clothes was a big thing, and you got noticed when you did that in a, you know, in a uniform school situation. So yeah, I would always get called in, and they would cut off my buttons and take
They would cut off your buttons.
just sew them back on. You know what I mean? Fuck them. Yeah, so they.
I see the button dropping slowly to the floor.
No, and I use like, and
I behind her back with a sewing needle.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, they're so funny. That's so right on, because I loved using the gold ones, like fake gold, obviously, but like
Do you go down to Kensington to find them?
I wonder, where are you? Anne's in California.
Oh, California! Damn it! I thought you were in Toronto. Never mind. Kensington Market is where we go in Toronto to find all the old
knick-knack, paddywhacks.
Yeah,
Give a dog
cool
a bone.
buttons. You go to Kensington.
Oh, nice! I would love to. I would love to check that out.
Yeah, you can have like Jamaican version of. They have Rasta pasta, right? Like that's where the first like marijuana dispensaries were, like 5 years ago, and they used to get shut down every couple days. It's crazy.
Do y'all remember that whole like Von Dutch, Ed Hardy like scene?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was a comedian on stage. He was like, "Yo, bro, what is that on your shirt? $300?"
Oh, that's hilarious. No, it's funny. I do remember it. I actually stayed well away from it, because I just watched a documentary, and and my friend was like, "Yeah, we never wore that," and I was like, "I know, we never did." And
the Von Dutch hats.
Yeah, Von Dutch, and I think it's because I'm Dutch, and I was very annoyed that right. And it was just like everyone was like, "Oh, you should wear the Von Dutch stuff," and I'm like, "No, I'm not wearing the Von Dutch stuff." You know what I mean? Because of that. And anyway, but that's side note. But yeah, I do remember that very clearly.
Hold on, I'm just gonna grab a package. I'll be right back. Those Von Dutch hats. I'll be right back. Let me just grab this package.
No worries. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm gonna have to decline your offer to because I'm tired. And I'll play some video games here in a minute.
How dare you, sir?
But I want to let you know the reason why I declined your co-host. Like, I don't want to be your co-host.
How dare you, sir? Don't you know the extending of the microphone is the one true way of crossing swords in the Twitter metaverse?
Y'all were talking about AI earlier. Dude, that Neuralink. Did you see the testing that they did on with those monkeys? They had the monkeys like controlling the ping pong or what's it called, pong, on the Atari game. That Don said that they wasn't gonna be able to like control like programs and stuff like that, but they're gonna get pretty close. And they also have like some sort of ocular like implant that they're implanting on like the brain, where you can't physically like see like an actual picture, but it shows like pixels and stuff, and you can see like the rough outline of stuff, and that's what it gives people who like have no sight. It's pretty cool stuff.
Oh wow, huh? That's interesting. I wonder if that whole have you guys ever seen the movie Until the End of the World?
I haven't.
Oh no, you haven't. Yeah, it is fantastic. Actually, it's available. Criterion finally picked it up and released it, so you can find it on on their collection. It's a Wim Wenders film. I kind of don't want to. Well, I'm sure no one's really going to watch it, but it tackles that sort of thing, like developing a device that allows blind people to see. It's pretty interesting. And and I wonder if it's that same thing with the deaf people, blind people. Like, I wonder if they want to know, if they want to see. There's a whole movement with the whole deaf where they're like they say no to anything that helps them hear, because they have their own life. They have their own like way of living. You know what I mean? For literally as long as we've been alive.
It's like it's like being Amish for the census.
Right. You know what?
Well, that's what's crazy, because there are people out there that have gotten cochlear implants that were deaf their entire life and they couldn't hear anything, and they're getting these implants, and it's like a little I don't know how to explain it, but it's like attached literally to their head. It's like a plate, and it has like a little charger that you charge it up on stuff. But it's giving like people with hearing loss the ability to hear. So that's pretty cool too.
Just imagine that, and then you have to hear all these Karens and Carls. Oh God! Take the thing off, unplug it. I'm good. No, nobody.
Hey,
No, that's true.
I
No
want to
guys.
try something. You don't have to do it, but I'm going to send you a picture of what I'm looking at right now. I'm going to put it at the top. This
Have
is
y'all
what I'm
seen the
looking at
movie
right now.
Ex Machina?
I've heard of it. I know of the
Yeah, no,
game.
I've seen that. Yes, I've seen that movie. I'm so sorry. I was reading the back of Until the End of the World thing, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll just read this out, guys.
Oh no, do they want a summary?
My wife has seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's really good. It tiptoes the line between like artificial intelligence and planting someone's conscious subconsciousness into like an actual AI, and like how the two like interact with each other. It's interesting.
Yeah, I do. I've seen that movie. I enjoy that movie a lot. Oh, that's what you're looking at right now. Nice, nice clouds. I'm obsessed with the clouds as well, because it's whole part of my photography with the reflection. So yeah, that's awesome. We don't get many clouds here in Los Angeles. Although we did yesterday, I ran to the beach really fast. I was like, oh, I have a friend that lives right there. So I call him for like a cloud report, we shall say. So I'm like, okay, is there a marine layer? You know what I mean? And I know when it's low tide. So it's just like, okay, it's go time. And so yeah, today's another clear. I'm not complaining because I know people live in terrible weather situations, but today is again no clouds, clear, hot.
You remind me of a tornado chaser, like from the movie Twisters. I think it's going green, checking out the marine layer for to see if there's gonna be clouds or not.
Dude, that's exactly what I am. I swear to God, I have somebody down in my son is in Long Beach, so I call him. I ask him what it's like down there. I have somebody in San Diego. I call them. Oh yeah, I'll drive, man. I will drive if there's but once in a while when there's storms here, I will absolutely drive wherever I know where the rain band is gonna cross the landmass into the ocean. If it's not too far, I'll try to meet it because you can get some stellar photographs that way, honestly, especially here because the air is so
Don't
dry.
y'all?
So you get really crisp clouds sometimes because that's how you get crisp clouds with the evaporation.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why the clouds in New Mexico and Arizona are so amazing, and for photographs they're just so crisp, and you rarely get that fuzzy edge. Is because the air is so dry there that it just zaps any sort of water that you know what I mean, or just like it just holds it in there. I guess that's how it's been described to me. But yeah,
You said you're from LA. Don't y'all get like they call the Dragon's Keep that rolls in every time like around a certain time off the ocean? It's like just a big um,
oh, the marine that's the
like
marine layer.
yeah, it's like just a huge thing like at a certain time every day. When I went to Huntington Beach,
Yeah,
yeah, it got really cold. It was like hot as hell, and then it got fucking cold as hell, and within like minutes, it was weird. I wasn't.
yeah, that's the ocean. Yeah, that's some ocean fog thing going on there. No, we have marine layer here, which is really cool. In the morning, if you're right by the coast, kind of hangs out, especially in June, in July. I think it has to do with the convection with the heat coming in from the desert. It kind of like it kind of makes it all mixed together, and there's this wonderful marine cloud layer. So it kind of keeps it nice and cool over there. But then then it breaks up, which it gives you nice cloud structure, but you have to be there. It lasts about I don't know, like 45 minutes, and then it's gone. So, again, you kind of have to be like that chaser and be out there at the right time and luck out with the tides and then how the ocean is
Yeah,
looking and how there's
ain't
people around. And yeah. Because once the sun comes out, that's it. It's over for photography. No, just kidding. But no, it just makes it a little bit more difficult, because you just don't the hard shadows unless that's what you're going for. But yeah. So what was in that package? Are we getting a live unveil?
Yeah, a live unveiling. So actually, I'm just waiting for Roland to show up. He runs the solutions company. This is what his top of his car looks like because he has a logo on it. So
Oh, go ahead. So go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm just we're gonna be because I'm teaching music to kids tomorrow, all week. We're also gonna have like a little station where they can get hands-on with IT and learn structured cabling in a corner if they want to break from the music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the music is kind of like the Trojan horse. So like the music gets us in the door, and then once we have a relationship with them, we'll be like, yeah. So how's school going? Oh yeah. Oh, you have trouble with math? Oh, well, I have an Asian right here sitting beside me.
Damn, that's how the cults do it.
Right, right. You know, yeah. Well, I mean, the cults do with not with music, but the opportunity of polyamorous behavior that's still right with God, I think.
No, fair game. Yeah. That's true. They do.
Yeah,
They do hook you with the hey, free love. You know what I mean? And then free
yeah.
thing, and then they turn. Actually, I talked to a guy who him and his wife and his kids escaped from one of those. What's it called? The one up in the East Coast. The seven.
Yeah,
The seven. What's it called? The seven something.
dude. Like, I'm from Guyana, and like one of those cult dudes came all the way to Guyana and had everyone drink Kool-Aid. So
Oh fuck yeah! Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Jim Jones. Yeah, Jim Jones.
yeah, Jim Jones, exactly.
Jim
So
Jones.
it's like that's like one of the weird things about Guyanese history is that shit. Yeah.
Yes, it is one of those weird things when you think about it, and it's so sad. Actually, the church still stands here. The church that they used here in South Central LA, it's still here. I think it's a Korean like a Korean church now, Methodist church. I think that's yeah. But yeah, it still stands here. But that's this crazy story. It's stories like that that made my mom. Okay, she's so weird. I grew up Catholic, and I asked her why. I was like,
Good
why?
question. Good
No,
question.
like why? And her answer was, well, because in the 70s and all that, there were all these. She was so afraid that if she didn't give us a religion, that we would grow up without religion and then be more prone to be in cults, which is quite laughable because it's the opposite.
It's
because,
just
but
yeah, it's like
because
displacement theory.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we know, and she knows this now. And look, she grew up. I come from a very long-standing Catholic family on one side, in Holland, which is weird because they're Protestants. So you know what I mean. So it's kind of like
Everyone's an atheist until they have a child, right?
right. No, I know, right? I know. So she's more and I asked her because she's more hint. I asked her if there's anything out there that she actually identifies with, and she's like, oh, dude, she's like, no, I'm like a Hindu. You know what I mean? She believes in
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
My mom is both. Like my mom's like a Hindu Rosicrucian,
yeah, right, yeah, which is awesome because
which is great.
we're still made to go to church every Sunday. You know what I mean? And
Yes, the community. I find that these Twitter spaces are kind of becoming that because a lot of people have lost their financial religious idols recently. And
mm,
so there's kind of this lull, and we like each other, but we used to have this thing that, this horse we were betting on. And now what do we do if the horse is gone, but we still remain? Is there
yeah.
any use of us getting back together? Were we actually friends, or are we just here for the Queen's Cup or the what is the race?
Oh yeah, the
What is the race called? The something, the Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky
Oh,
Derby.
Kentucky Derby.
Right? Everyone in the crypto is kind of like, okay, so I'm betting on this horse. I've been following this horse for a while. I knew its mother. Its mother comes from good stock, and now it's the underdog to win the Kentucky Derby. And then now the rest of the race is done, or at least stalled.
Yeah.
It's like, do we still like each other? Do we have other things to talk about? Is there a way that maybe we can build wealth together without this horse?
Yeah, like in real, like I think you're right, and I think the people who have stuck around and who have just like stayed and chatted, you can kind of tell the ones which are here for, I wouldn't say community, but we kind of all like each other. We kind of like talking to each other, and we all understand like life as adults as well. It's busy, and this
Yeah,
is and this is honestly one of the best things for people who kind of not need, but like enjoy having conversations, having different conversations. Because when in life before could you just walk? I mean, I guess you could. I mean, I was a bartender. I had 100 million different conversations, right?
hmm
But it still depended on who walked into the bar. So, kind of like this as well. But here you can jump to bar real quick to find that conversation.
Yes, exactly. And some people, I look at it as joining a table in a bar. And
Mm,
sometimes you join the table and you sit down. Hey, what's going on? You might know one person at that table, and maybe you sit down for a little bit. And sometimes you just move your plate over to that table.
yeah, and here's the best part of this though, with the bar analogy, is that no one's well, I'm going to say no one's drunk. I'm going to say half the people aren't drunk. So and,
Yeah, I don't know about those numbers, but go on. Yeah,
yeah, I was going to say, never mind.
doesn't pass the quantitative
Yeah,
analysis.
but
I think.
you don't have to deal with the bar.
People don't just go
Social
to
the
bars
people
for the
who have,
wings. Yeah.
I think it's also the people who have social anxiety are here.
I've seen
Right.
a lot of that. Yeah, I could definitely. I've seen a lot of people like that. Well, of course, not seen. Come on, Donnie. Goodness gracious. But yeah, a lot of folks have. You're absolutely right, and it's helped them out like tremendously, like with their speech, just putting themselves out there. Just getting more comfortable with themselves, and
Yes.
it's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, because it's a social anxiety that a lot of times stops me, even though I'm both, right? Sometimes I'm okay, and then sometimes I'm not. I've literally driven 20 miles to a party, sat outside, and had my friends inside, and went, "Oh no, not tonight," and drove home. You know what I mean? So like this, it's kind of it's a good thing for us. We're all adults. We don't have a lot of time, so it's also it's not a time waster, like, even though we can waste time on this, but we can use it also as like, oh, I have a couple minutes, I'd like to connect and like go to the bar, but it's like 11 o'clock in the morning or 10 a.m in the morning, or 8 a.m in the morning. uh
Like the work analogy, right? I look at us as being a community
I,
of
like,
practice. We each have our own offices, but we sometimes catch each other in the hall.
yeah, your work analogy works a lot better. I like it, because you're right, it could be a
It's a
whole.
bit of both, right? If
Yeah.
you're drunk, you might feel like you're at the bar, but if you're sober, you might want to ask Dan. Like nobody has really asked Dan with all of his jokes what he actually does. And then if they found out what Dan does, they'd ask him a lot more questions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but
Right.
the social anxiety thing, I definitely have come across more people, which of course would make the statistics higher for drinking.
Well, this is where we get back to the autism-driven development, right? Because I believe that this is a place where those living with autism are learning how to interact. And it's a lot easier for them to interact when they don't have to deal with the physical meat body, all of that information, and a human face thing.
Yes, yes, because people can be intimidating, not intimidating, just strange. Like I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's
absolutely. And there's all of these. The strangest thing that ever happened with this whole online thing is the loss of status. Status doesn't mean shit no more. Oh yeah, you're a CFO. Who gives a fuck?
you're right.
And that's very destabilizing for people. And you see people, oh, we need to go back to work. We need to back in an office. Oh, you want to impose your status on me? No thanks. No thanks. I'm going to be over here on a Zoom call where we're all the same size.
Yeah, yeah, because you're right. Because a lot of people a lot of people flourish away from that oppressive human environment.
Yes, yes. And it's very
Like I say,
destabilizing.
an environment. I work in a very, very. I know it sounds strange, but I work in a very, very high stress situation and around a lot of people, and it's like Game of Thrones in there. For 13 hours a day, I'm playing Game of Thrones. So like being
Yeah.
able to come here and just be not that is
I
such a
imagine when
relief.
you walk into work, you have this like 2 minute theme song. Dun, 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 dun. How are you married? Dun, dun.
For real. So for this is almost like, oh, thank goodness, you know what I mean? Even though, like, to be fair, like at work, I have a job where we talk. We there's a lot of talking too, but there's a lot of talking with the same people, which is lovely. You know what I mean? And we all get to know each other. A bit like this, really, but it's still Game of Thrones because it's work, right?
Yes, and
yeah.
that's the opportunity I think we have for honesty, because we are not working together, which sometimes mean working against each other, right? People jockeying for power, people jockeying for more of a margin, what have you. I think this is kind of an opportunity for us to kind of bring that radical honesty to each other, right? In a way that we might not be able to if we were Game of Thrones each other and I was a vendor and you were a client.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Game of Thrones and each other. Absolutely. No, I use the Game of Thrones analogy all the time because ever since I watched it, I was like, oh, this is perfect for for a lot of people's lives and works. Maybe in inside the home even. I hope not. You know what I mean? But definitely in my workplace, I was like, this is perfect because it is. And a lot of people are like that though. You can't, and it's not about being
So
yourself.
who would you be if you were in Game of Thrones? Like I'd be Peter Dinklage, I think. Right? I'm the guy that's like trying to keep everyone happy and it all falls apart in the end. That's me.
Oh, don't say that. But
No, but like it takes a lot of falling apart to have one success, right? That's just the way that startups work, right? So you're gonna have 9 dead bodies for one alive one, and that one alive one is supposed to be really good.
people have said, of course, the Brie character.
Why?
Well, I think it's my. To be honest with you, it's my physical height
Ah,
that gives that away. And I'm just a physical. I'm always out doing things like surfing or trying to surf or hiking
right.
and that. And I'm like super. I can come across as uber loyal sometimes, too loyal. Like,
Mhm,
and I can,
mhm.
yeah. Yeah, I would say that, but yeah. I'm trying to think of other characters, and it's so weird because there's not one character in there that's like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, Peter Dinklage, but I could also see myself as being that bald asshole, right?
Right. Me too. Okay, me because I because of the way he operates through life as he gets the
He's seen more experience than anyone else who's not a king, you know?
yeah. Yes, exactly. He's kind of in the backgrounds, you know what I mean? Has been around, but never, has not ever been the
Kind of
star.
like Doctor Strangelove, but in medieval times.
What's that guy's name? Is begins with a V. I can't remember.
I think Donnie would probably be the giant dude. Or the
I've never
mountain guy.
seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
If
Dude,
you
if you ever
wanted
have
to
a
be the
chance,
CEO of your company, you
yeah.
just like Game of Thrones your way to the top.
Oh man. Oh, dude. So I see you walking into work, getting your face paint on. As you're doing this, as you're strutting your stuff and just ready to start your day, ready to just cut some throats and just be after it. Oh gosh, and at the end of your day, where you can just come to Twitter Spaces, you can just unwind, and you don't have to do that. You don't have to
Well,
deal
there's a
with that shit.
picture
A lot of
at
times,
the top.
I would call Casey. Like Casey and I would be on the morning, like really early in the morning, because I work at 6 o'clock in the morning when I work, and like it's go time at 6, right? So I would get to work an hour early usually, and I would just spend. Me and Casey would do like a morning show almost, where I would just get pumped for my work. Just like, okay, let's go. I've got 15 minutes. And it would be so fun. Like, we just laugh and just, be Casey. And I kind of miss that. I have to, we have to start doing that again.
Nothing singing.
In his time as well.
Seriously, yes, you should. You should bring that back. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, you should reach out to him and be like, hey, fucker.
Oh
It's
no, he
go
would
time.
totally do it if I was like, okay, let's go. Because it's a lot of times it's a good time for him because it's right before he has to make those phone calls You know what I mean? And it's right, and the timing is good for me because 6 o'clock my time is 9 o'clock his time.
Nice.
So you know what I mean. So it's
Yeah,
like
I'm in Toronto, so it's the same thing. Yeah, it works.
yeah. So yeah, I need to. Me and him have to bring that back. I'm gonna start working on a regular basis again. So we're gonna definitely be doing that because I love, you know. Yeah, you're right. It's face paint on. Although it's funny you say that. I'm not gonna shatter the illusion there, but we all kind of look like homeless people when we walk into work.
I mean, that happens in Game of Thrones too, right? They're at the top in the beginning, and then they get sent out into the wilderness, and they come back to civilization kind of better off, but a little bit haggard.
Exactly. Oh man, good. No, this is good morning. See, good morning for me. I actually have to go because I have to get ready to. I'm gonna go. You know, when you have a 20-year-old kid, you ask him who does he need. Doesn't live with me. He lives in his own apartment. So I'm like, okay, what do you need? What do you need at a grocery store? And he goes, everything. So I'm gonna go get everything at the grocery store. I guess, and unload.
Can you do me a favor and read the title? I'm trying to have a collection of everyone reading this title because they all sound different.
Okay, sure. I'll do it. Okay, here we go. 3, 2. Okay. The SquareSpace Degen conversations in a broadcaster voice.
Donnie?
Well done, AM. All right, yes. Oh, right quick. What is it? Ramen, hot dogs. No, fuck hot dogs. Fuck that. Ramen, chicken breast. He needs a crock pot. Rice, for sure, and then just some frozen veggies. That's for sure some good staples. Okay. The SquareSpace Degen conversations in a broadcaster voice.
This has been the Squarespace. Degenerate conversations in a broadcaster voice, and that's an M35i you hear in the background. We'll see you soon.